What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Power Trip on Donny Vermilion. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Donny Vermilion, the best map in the game, is where we have to gather 20 xenon crystals and return them to the stabilizer in the middle of our base. The crystals appear once lava recedes from the low ground. But we need to flee to the high ground while the lava is up. Enemies get random spells. Their buildings shoot back. Everything they have has longer range.
Okay, so Tutu and Eveling are in the call with us today. How are you guys?
Great.
Alright, so unfortunately, there's a little bit of a sound issue on Eveling's side, so you'll have to bear with us. Let's make an example. Let's put an example. Eveling, how do we rank the commanders this week?
This week is going to be mostly based on how a commander does on Vermilion problem. Long range, Photon Overload, Power Overwhelming, are all going to be super irritating to deal with. Some commanders can almost ignore them. Most other commanders will just have to brute force through it. And with Power Overwhelming, it's going to be kind of a crapshoot. So
Yeah, kind of. There's no way to tell what spells the enemies will use until they actually use them. How about you, Tutu?
So basically, you'll need like beefy armies that can survive the spells and also push up ramps, because the long range plus photon overload kind of hurts, especially if they like black hole you and you can't fight back. So it's if your commander can deal with like the map, the mutators, without losing much each time, then you'll be higher ranked.
Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
He's not gonna farm. Like you pretty much can't farm because of all the mutators. The long range cannons will hit you, and power overwhelming will ruin your stuff. It's just not gonna be very good. You don't really need to farm, but you're gonna be much slower. You can't expand. You won't be able to do anything until like 7-8 minutes, because you'll be using like roaches and maybe some ravagers, and that's about it. After you have enough stuff, it's not gonna be that bad, because you can heal, you have mend, brutalists have a lot of life, leviathans have a lot of life. So after you get things going, you'll be alright, but the start is extremely slow and you're not gonna contribute that much.
Yeah.
I put him in B.
B. How about you, Eveling?
I have Abathur from A to B. Kind of mostly due to what Tutu's saying. His start is going to be a little rough, but you're going to have enough biomass for the first wave, and that if you go with like D2, you can get your swarm host going. The swarm host range is a little longer than one would expect, just because you can get the locusts to go out further and close the distance, and doing it essentially risk-free. And the other nice thing about that is you're depleting the overall energy from the power overwhelming pool every time your locusts start coming out. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing to help reduce the more nastier spells from coming out.
Exactly.
So I would definitely, I'm saying A to B, but I'm definitely leaning a lot more toward B. It's not your typical Abathur start of momentum that starts off early.
Alright. Both of you say B, let's put him in B. Prestige-wise, you want the second one? Or no prestige?
Probably second
I'd
one.
say second
the storm
one.
host is
Second
good.
one? Alright, that makes sense. Let's move on. Alarak, where do we have him?
If you go in with P3 on this, you're in for a world of hurt. Mothership is tanky, but all you need is black hole and a bunch of seeker missiles or some other shenanigans to ruin your day. Definitely, if you do go P3, do not make mass destroyers unless you want to end up on one of JYK's clips. I have Alarak from B to C. He's can make it happen. If anything, I would be more inclined to recommend P1 and start getting your Wrathwalkers out. Your supplicants are gonna
Pay the price.
essentially they're gonna pay the price, but as when they do, they're gonna power up your Wrathwalkers.
That is something.
So Yeah, and then they have the range to gotta be kind of careful on how you manipulate them, but they can outrange, long range, and photon overload. They do great against burning down structures.
That is
So
true.
they can keep out of range of power overwhelming, but it's gonna be tricky.
Very
So,
tricky. All right. How about you, Tutu?
So I think P1 is fine here because the same reason you're gonna lose stuff. You're gonna lose units while you try to push up ramps. At least they can help buff your army. And another option is Slayers because they have the invincibility every few seconds, so they can kind of avoid some of the damage. And they're also not, yeah, they don't die as quickly as like destroyers do. He's probably the worst commander against power overwhelming because he always has to move around in a ball, and power overwhelming wrecks death balls. So yeah, I put him in C.
All right. So from my experience, I did use Slayers, but from my experience, they're more like Slayes because they get just destroyed over and over. They just don't survive. And the nice thing is you can keep replenishing them over and over, but I still think for my money, I would still rather have the mothership because at least it's an anchor. You'll always have it, and unless you lose it that frequently, you can just replace it in like every few or yeah, you can replace it when you lose it, but not don't lose it too often. Anyway, both of you put them in C. Let's put them in C. Prestige wise, do you want the first one?
I think first one is all right here.
All right. I still think I like the third one, but if you guys want first one, that's fine. Let's move on. Arcturus, where do we have him?
He has ESOs, and there are no environmental mutators that affect like going nuclear that will destroy the ESOs. So he can basically destroy most of the map from the middle, and whatever's not whatever's not dead, you can like use the top bars, and when the enemies are all gone, you just drop a bunker and collect the crystals, which saves you a trip. So it's pretty
Yes.
safe. Bunkers are also pretty immune to power overwhelming. Long range is kind of an issue because enemies outrange them, but a lot of them will be dead before they even get close because of ESOs. So I put Manx in S.
Okay. How about you, Eviling?
Any commander who's has the ability to hammer away at the enemy unimpeded by all three mutators is definitely gonna score very high, and Arcturus is well known for that. I mean, he says long range, I'll show you long range. And then so yeah, prestige,
The
any
Giga range.
prestige you can make work because all his prestiges have ESOs.
Letter?
I said S there.
S to A. Sorry, I did audio issues. It just didn't come through in that moment.
It's all. It's fine.
All right, both of you said S. Let's put them in S. Prestige wise, anyone will work, right? But you want the third one?
Yeah.
It
Anyone's
don't matter.
fine.
Doesn't matter? All right. Let's move on. Artanis, where do we have him?
Artanis, he's a little more tankier than Alarak, so, but he still is going to encounter issues with he of just like Alarak, he relies on death balls, so his balls are gonna get wrecked. So, yeah, kind of in
Poor
the
Artie's balls.
same boat as Alarak. Yeah, B to C.
Artanis' balls are not having a good time. How about you, Tutu?
So he's like Alarak. His death ball of dragoons will get really hurt. Will really get wrecked. The good thing is he has shield overcharge, which is gonna help him push up ramps, help him win fights because he's just gonna have so much HP that they can't kill him. They can't deal with all that.
He'll just survive.
So yeah, he just survives and then like brute forces his way through everything. And the enemies aren't stronger, they just have spells. which are and I guess long range it makes them a little stronger, but that doesn't really matter when you have a lot of HP from shield overcharge. With that said, I put him in B because still you have to make an army, and there's a chance you have bad luck and you lose it.
Okay, both of you have him in B. Let's put him in B. Prestige-wise, you want the third one? Or do you want Garden Shell?
Either way,
Either way.
both are fine.
Okay. So it
I'd
doesn't...
be more inclined to say Prestige 3, because yeah, you have more frequent shield overcharge. So as long as you're using it.
That's true. All right. Let's move on. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka, he can pretty much creeper host everything. It's like what Manx does, except he uses creeper hosts. They might get black hole, but they're free, and you just throw another wave every like 30 seconds later.
And they shoot
His
up.
pack leaders have thousands of HP.
A number beyond reckoning, thousands to storm the keep.
Tens of thousands.
But my lord, there is no such force.
And yeah, so he really has no problem at all. And I think he'll do fine against any enemy. So I put him in S.
All right. S. How about you, Eviling?
Yep, I have Dehaka from SA. He's pretty much like pseudo Manx in some sense, and for this, of course, he's gonna if you try to farm essence early, he's gonna be like Abathur. It's almost a no go. So, but fortunately, Dehaka has two to fall back on, where it doesn't really matter if you can farm or not. You just got to get out your pack leaders. So just macro up and get each pack leader out, use them sparingly, and then get your controls out and take your center island and dominate the map.
Letter.
I said S today.
All right. Both of you have him in S. Let's put him in S. Okay. Let's move on. Phoenix. Where do we have him?
Phoenix. He's pretty much gonna brute force it, but the beauty of Phoenix is that's what he's known for. Just sending champions in over and over again until Amon submits. That's it's definitely a tactic, and the good thing is there's no real time pressure that's happening on this map. So as long as your champions are not getting gunned down before they even can connect with or get at least one or two hits off, he should be able to get through.
Okay. Letter.
In terms of
Oh, sorry.
in terms of prestiges, I would say go with 2 or 3. I would not go with 1. Kind of the same idea as Alarak. If you get caught out by bad spells, then
You're screwed.
not have a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, I have Phoenix from A to B.
A to B. Okay. How about you, Tutu?
I recommend P2. You just charge in all the time, and same thing. You just need to stay on pace with macro and make sure your shells aren't standing in lava. So
That
yeah,
makes sense.
I put him in A.
Okay.
I put him in A.
Okay, that's fair. Both of you have him in A. I do not have reservations for that. I actually don't have any reservations against S, but both of you have him in A. Let's put him in A. Prestige-wise, you want the second one. Let's move on. Han and Horner, where do we have him?
Han and Horner also sucks against power overwhelming because the random PDDs shut down a lot of the strike fighters.
Yes.
And then Han and Horner is also army based, so you have to be there in the fights, and then if your army gets black holed and then fungled and stuff, that's no good. Han units are also extremely fragile. Horner units are better, but then you need something to take hits when you're trying to get I guess you can strike fighter the buildings before you move in, but the enemies still have long range. So the air, especially like the air enemies at each base,
Yes.
at each encampment also.
Very annoying.
There's so many PDDs that it's just like a lot of your stuff's gonna be nullified, and it's just really annoying.
Yes.
Plus the power overwhelming. I mean the army stuff. with everything. I put them in C.
Okay. How about you, Eviling?
I have on an order from B to C. I think I would actually recommend, so PDDs are a thing, but I would still recommend P3 or prestige number 3 for this. The reason why is PDDs, so they control a certain area. You can strike fighter up to the PDD, and then once it starts taking out the strikes, you send in your Vikings. So one salvo of wild missiles will take out a PDD. So
Sounds cool.
so you can target and then just proceed on. So it's not as simple as just strike firing everything, but when you see the PDD out, then you send you carve the path so your Vikings can get to there, wild missile it, and then proceed forward. The good thing is, yeah, for Vermilion Prom, there are a lot of buildings, so it's all ground-based structures. Clear the path all the way up to there, and then hopefully enough is clear so that you can get your SCV, your workers in, and to get the crystals out.
All right.
Again, no major time constraints.
All right, that's fair.
Yep.
But both of you are okay with C. Let's put Heidenhorn in C. Prestige-wise, you said you want the third one? I was use.
I would recommend a third.
I guess you can use it. It's just very expensive to get the air strikers, especially if you're only on one base. It takes a while to get the expansion up.
Yes,
Especially if your ally takes the safe expansion and you're left with the expansion that's always attacked, the bad one.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and they have
Yeah.
long range too, so they'll always
then
hit you.
They'll always
Like
hit you,
Astro.
and it's gonna be so. I would only recommend the third prestige if you can tolerate having your expansion constantly being destroyed. That's the only situation. But let's move on. Karax, where do we have him?
Karax, E3, he has the ability to essentially ignore pretty much most of the mutators. The main thing is he has to get vision. So I would like to put Karax in S, but he's definitely not on the scale of Fenix or Dehaka, where he has to work for that vision. Now, if he has an ally that's helping with vision, that's another thing. But yeah, this is mostly just looking at the commander on their own. So I have Karax from A to B.
Okay. How about you, Tutu?
I use P2 mass carriers, and with repair beam and unity barrier doesn't really matter that much. And zealots have extra life, so yeah, just mass carriers. I put them in S because mass carriers are good. Expansion, probably you would prioritize that first. Before destroying any base, you just
Definitely.
get the expo. And the early waves you can just solar lance them. So,
Yes.
Or just orbital strike them. So you don't really have to worry about fighting them. Like they're not going to be threatening.
In fact, all the waves I think you can just solar lance, not just the early ones, even the later ones.
Yeah.
So Eviling, are you convinced?
I'm convinced. I kind of forgot about E2's excessive tankiness. There's no time constraints. So you just keep on throwing bodies at them, aka like a Phoenix style or so Stukov style, and it's gonna wear down the power overwhelming energy pool, and your units are still gonna come out on top. So extremely tanky. I agree. S.
All right, both we have an S. Let's put Karax in S. Prestige-wise, you want the second one?
Yeah, I think it's better.
All right.
More straightforward, simple.
Very simple. Just put pylons on the ramp so you have something to give you vision for the attack wave, so your mineral line doesn't get destroyed. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan, she's all right. So her immobilization wave will be clearing a lot of the areas, perhaps even some entire attack waves if they're coming as shuttles and you just like kill them while they're in transit. Later on, you're probably just gonna use ultras because they have a lot of HP, and yeah, so it's mostly Kerrigan, but there's a chance she gets like black hole or something that's not
Yeah.
good. But she can always like escape, go home, get healed, come back out.
Unless she
And you can
is
also have
black
like
hold.
Omega's tank.
Yes, I was about to say. You know what else has a lot of HP? Omega worms, but letter
I put her in A.
A. How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I don't know about a B to C. I is where I have Kerrigan because you rely on her for her early to mid game, and she gets black holed and gets gunned down because you just can't get her out. And uh, there's a good chance that you could lose her. So at that point, the game's not going to be lost if you lose her, unlike for some other mutations. But it's gonna sting. So I don't know if uh, don't know if she is on the level of Phoenix,
What do you
or
think?
you kind of just don't care and can send things in willy nilly.
So for you, she's B to C. What do you think, Tutu?
I'm gonna say what you said. There's no time constraints.
Huh?
So if she actually dies, you don't have to do anything, right?
Yeah.
Because you can just wait till the next wave. She'll come back, and then I don't think you would be that unlucky to get black hole every single time and die, because you can't get black hole and not die. Plus, on this map, you don't actually need to clear many encampments. You only need to clear like the left one, the northeastern one with the Dominator, and maybe the south one later on. But that's like you don't have to touch the other ones, which means that you have an immobilization wave for every attack wave. After like the ones that actually hurt, you will have an immobilization wave to weaken or kill them. So yeah, that's
Are you
what I
convinced?
think.
Okay, so I guess one more thing I would like to consider. So again, let's hit the elephant in the room. What if it's air comp? So long range
Heavy
air
air.
comp with power overwhelming. So let's make it really nasty. Fleet of the Matriarch.
So when the actual nasty things come, she will have immobilization wave for every wave because they come about every 3 minutes, and you will always have it. And there's really no basis to clear with immobilization wave, so you just kind of hold on to it until the wave comes.
Sometimes the attack patterns are unpredictable. In the first like 16 minutes, could that be an issue?
Those waves are not dangerous. It's dangerous after 14 when they come with 5-5 waves. Before 5-5, it's still like just 3s and 4s, and you can mass spore crawlers. Like your minerals are not going to be spent on zerglings, so you just make spore crawlers everywhere.
Okay.
They will outrange you, so you're just stalling time.
What do you say, Eviling?
You can also use P3, so that's another thing. You can zap them.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, that'd be my best bet is P3 for this. I will defer to Tutu's wisdom. I don't know if I still feel A, but yeah, we'll put him at A for now.
Yeah, I'm okay with putting Kerrigan in A because I look at the guys in B, and like, no, there's no way Kerrigan's at Artanis level or Abathur's level for this one. In a vacuum, maybe, but when I see the commanders, they're like, no, she's not that. Let's move on. Nova, where do we have him?
Nova. the epitome of destroying things unimpeded. E3, pretty much you just gotta set up your defenses at home, have Nova go out, clear the path, and then bring the crystals home. I have her from S to A.
S to A. How about you, Tutu?
Yeah, with P3, you can clear everything. You should have defense drones just in case like they cast spells on you, because they can still cast spells on you even if they don't attack you.
Also, airlift helps unit. Airlift can pull the units out of black holes. So the Griffin can resist black holes. That's how OP it is. So it doesn't matter if you get black hole, just teleport out of it. So both of you are okay with S?
Yeah.
Okay. When I played Nova, I was just having a nice chat with Cage about where to go in Europe. That's how easy it was with Nova. I wasn't even thinking about the mutation that much. Maybe a little bit.
That sounds about right.
That sounds about right. Okay, let's move. Oh, third prestige. You want the third prestige here. Let's move on. Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor also suffers against power overwhelming because his spider mines are good against enemies, but they die to spells.
Anything.
His bio dies to spells, and then his battle cruisers are okay, but they take long to build up, and you don't have an easy expo, and it's gonna be hard to expo because of power overwhelming plus the photon overload. So it's gonna be a lot harder to expand, especially if no one's helping you. If you're trying to expand alone, it's gonna be like very, very difficult.
Yeah.
P1 bio works against like weak Zerg enemies, but that's about it. Otherwise, like doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you still do your part, but not much more. So I put Raynor in C.
Equal contribution. That's about it. How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I'm a little more brutal on Raynor for this one. Long range, he's gonna suffer photon overload. He suffers power overwhelming. Raynor is the epitome of death ball, and his balls are gonna get stomped in pretty good. I have it from E to F.
Okay. E to F. What do you think, Tutu?
I don't think he's F, just because he'll still do something. He is the worst. Now the question is he far worse than the two
Horner.
C's? I
think he is
he
worse.
is worse than them.
So
I don't know if he's that
compromise to
much.
D?
I'm trying to think how big of a liability is he? He's pretty much all liability.
When you're playing as Raynor against his mutation, you're just as much playing against Raynor himself as you are against the mutators.
Yeah.
So
You're turning on hard mode.
I don't think he's like E bad, just because like the least he can do is serve as a
This is inhumane.
Meat shield.
a tank. He's a meat shield for photon overload and all the things, so that your ally can do something. But you are not going to be doing any lifting with that style. You're just a support. So
you can carry crystals.
Not even
And
with
keep
mules.
in mind, both of his call downs get hit pretty hard by the PDDs.
That's true. All right, so can we compromise to D?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with D.
Let's put Raynor in D. There it is. Let's move on. Stetboy, where do we have him?
Stetmann, I have him similar to Phoenix. He can just brute force it. It's that strong. Your Zerglings get black hole. Okay, big whoop. As long as they're over a stellite stet zone area, you're gonna get recycled, and you just keep on hammering till win. And the nice thing about Stetmann is just having stet zones available you're going to be into the blue zone, then you're gonna expedite crystal carrying. So you can get the mission done
Letter?
at a much more expedient way. A to B.
Okay, how about you, Tutu?
So Stetmann, he kind of hates Photon Overload just because of the like it affects your Statellite spread. Sometimes, the long range also like may shoot down a Statellite before you think you're in range because they actually can shoot farther, which means that you need like the Gary zone to push, but you have so much HP that's and like shields and
Doesn't matter.
healing that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So I put him in S
Okay.
because he doesn't really have a problem.
I put him. We put him in S because he's stat boy, and he's just that good almost every mutation. So prestige wise, who want the second one?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Stukov, where do we have him?
Stukov, so P3 is good, but it's slow. And since it's Vermilion problem, you will need to, like, your bunkers will mostly be in the middle, which means that to get to the farther places, it'll take a longer time. And yeah, so he doesn't really have that much of a problem. It does take a while to get critical mass, though, and also the lava. So because of the lava, there's a chance you'll be out of position. So if they're like an air comp and they come from the top, they're just gonna go past the natural. They're just gonna fly across the top. And if you have only a few bunkers in the main, you can kind of stall them, but you won't really kill them, and they might storm your workers or something.
Yeah.
I put Stukov in A.
Okay. How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I have Stukov from A to B. He's, as Tutu said, he's going to be slow, but he's gonna get it done. So it destroying bodies, brute forcing the problem. To address the issue, if you only have a few bunkers, let's say at your main, and the attack wave, the air attack wave starts going for that, try to build bunkers and also build a barracks at your main, build another barracks at your expo, so that way you have a quick reactionary
I guess that
means
works.
of coming out infested rates.
Yeah. Okay. So letter.
A to B.
Okay, both of you have an A. Let's put Stukov in A. Let's move on. Swann, where do we have him?
Yeah, it's great defense. I would recommend 2 for this so that you can get the extra range on your defensive structures. And then with P2, you're able to not have your laser drill hindered. So concentrated is great for clearing across the map and not having to deal with things that, I mean, you're essentially showing Amon that, and I'll show you what long range means.
Yeah,
Yeah. So A to B, recommending P.
A to B. How about you, Tutu?
So I guess this really depends how you use your concentrated beam, because it's probably your best asset for clearing the crystal enemies, since if you use an army, you can use wraiths, but you may lose some of them to
Most of them.
spells.
Black hole
If
secret
you're
missile.
if you're not using P1, then clearing the escorts will be a lot slower because you don't have AoE. If you have P1, it's still kind of hard because you're farther away. If you teleport a Herc, it's kind of slow. And I think mass wraiths is like probably your best bet. The static defense is fine, but like because of long range, it's not. It's mainly to stall until your drill finishes them off. So yeah, I put Swann in B.
B. So Buon. Both of you have him B?
Evenly
Right.
said A to B.
Oh,
A to B.
yeah, A to B. Okay, both of you have him B. Let's put Swann in B. Let's move on. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus can just play normally. You do have medevacs to get out if there's a problem. And I used level 1 P0 and it was okay. So I guess if you have more medevacs with the 5th outlaw, you do even better. So S.
Straightforward. How about you, Eveling?
I have Tychus from A to B. Yeah, he has medevacs, but the thing is, I think, for my opinion, it's not S. It's if you get bad rolls of power overwhelming, it's gonna essentially make you spend your medevacs, and that could make you a little pumpered. So the other reason why I don't have a Med S is we're talking about other commanders that are S that just are not even having to deal with that. They don't have to dodge out. They just it's like rain down fire unimpeded. So yeah, I don't know if I can on I guess A to B seems about right.
What do you think, Tutu?
All right. I can see like if you're using P2 and you're charging to a base, you probably wouldn't until you have an Odin, but if you're charging to a base, like all these buildings are gonna all shoot you at once, and all the enemies are gonna shoot you at once. Most of the time you're gonna get a grenade off, which means you'll kill a lot of stuff, and even if you get black hole, you might not die. You might just be hurt, and you don't necessarily have to leave. I think the Odin can just walk out of the black hole.
I think.
I think he
out of the
just
black
walks
hole.
straight up.
I don't know if that's the case.
I remember he just walks out of like a lot of the. He doesn't care about a lot of the power overwhelming mutators. At least he has like 3,000 something HP, so he doesn't care.
Oh.
Similar to Kerrigan, you only need to nuke like one place, maybe two. So the rest of the time you have a nuke for bigger attack waves, so they aren't really scary.
What do you think, Eveling?
If the Odin is not affected by power overwhelming, would that put P3 as a potential option?
Third prestige?
Yeah.
I think. Well, I guess it could be fine as well, especially with the rattlesnake healing stick behind him. He's just gonna not die and tank everything. I am not like strongly for S just because I can see the fact that he has to like fight up the ramp and he has to kind of care, even if it's not that much. He has to kind of care.
Okay. So, are you okay with A?
Yeah, we're okay with A.
I think it's fine.
All right. Both of you are okay with A. Let's put Tychus in A. Actually, I had Tychus in S, but not my call. Vorazun, where do we have him?
Vorazun, she relies on Death Ball. She's not gonna have a good time if she's gonna just go in with her army. Unfortunately, she has P3, so every so often, they say everyone freeze.
She drops the ball. The time stop ball.
So, I think she'll be okay through this. But she's not gonna come out unscathed. I have her from B to C.
B to C. How about you, Tutu?
Yeah, if it weren't for time stop, she'd P3 time stop, she'd be worse. So with P3 time stop, she gets to be B because she can time stop and then like you can go up the ramp a little more safely. They can still cast spells on you, so that really sucks. And they might waste time. Like if they black hole you right at the top of the ramp and you can't get through, that really sucks. But yeah, for the most part. Oh yeah, also air comps suck. But if it's air comps, you just have to make more Corsairs and then black hole. You make fewer Shadow Guards so you can black hole more often.
All right.
And you have to split more. But yeah, B.
B. Okay. Both of you have in B. Let's put Vorazun in B. So B is for Vorazun. Also Swann. Vorazun has one prestige, the third one. You only use the other prestiges if you're bored of winning. Let's move on. Zagara, where do we have him?
Zagara, she's actually not so bad because P2 is good against power overwhelming because you get a lot more aberrations and they're very beefy. And you just basically run up ramps. She also has the Zergling evasion, which is going to be helpful against Photon Overload. And you just like frenzy and then charge up a ramp and things will get killed. If they destroy your aberrations, they eat Baneling explosions. Even if you play P2, get a Baneling nest and upgrade the Banelings because
Of course.
they'll still be doing damage. Some people don't because they think like I don't get free Banelings. I don't.
You still
bother
upgrade
with them.
Zagara's stuff.
The Baneling nest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you upgrade Zagara's Banelings too.
You upgrade Zagara's
I
Banelings.
put Zagara in A.
A. How about you, Eviling?
I initially had Zagara from B to C, and I am recommending P2. But yeah, I wanted to put her in A, and I think Tutu just nudged me toward A to B.
Okay.
Pretty much all that he says, and the intensified frenzy. I mean, you can. I would not suggest P3 for the same reason. Like, you're relying on a hero, and if your hero gets zapped, that's gonna set you
That's
back.
game.
It's not gonna cost you the game, but it's
It
with
might be
Zag-
with Zagara.
P2, you-
All right. So, both of you are okay with A. Let's put Zagara in A. I'm just kind of sad that Tutu didn't mention bio launchers, so very sad
oh, you
times.
can definitely do.
It's only for defense at the natural.
Hey, he
You
did.
can't-
He did mention it. Oh wait, Eviling mentioned it. Oh well. Let's move on. Zeratul, where do we have him?
And it's good. Zeratul, S to A, P2.
Okay. How about you, Tutu?
You can also trap the artifact on this map. So
Yes.
you trap the artifact and then
You
every
win.
2 minutes you get stronger. So doesn't matter what they throw at you.
It does not matter. It doesn't matter what they throw at you.
So S.
S. Okay. That's Zeratul and S. Okay, that's all the commanders. Do we have a double S?
Not really.
Not really. Who's best in S?
Zeratul.
Zeratul. Alright. Second best?
Arcturus. Dehaka.
Dehaka?
I would be.
It's
Stetboy?
either
I'd
Manx
be
or
leaning more toward
because they stay at home and do everything. Oh, and or Nova.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, if that's the case, I'm leaning more toward Dehaka because he has pack leaders. They
Yeah,
can just
and
go in and just clean up.
creeper host. You can kind of control the direction that
And
you're
shoot
hitting,
up.
So you. Yeah, that too.
I'm in more favor of Arcturus because you can, once the area is clear, just drop a laborer right on top of the crystal.
I-
Have to walk.
I think that's less relevant on a map with no environmental a mutation without environmental mutators.
Alright, Dehaka it is. And then Arcturus. Who's next?
Nova,
Nova. And then
Karax.
Stetboy, bottom of
actually.
S?
No. I
Really?
think Stetman's better. I think Stetman's better. Stetman's better.
Alright. Who's top of A?
Tychus.
Tychus. Yeah, he was an S candidate. Who's next? Phoenix?
Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix, I think. He just sends guys over and over again. And he doesn't ball up that much because he sends champions, not armies. Who's next? Stukov? Kerrigan?
Stukov is a lot less risky. Just slow.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And then Kerrigan, then Zagara? Yeah?
I would say Zagara, then Kerrigan.
Yeah, I say Zagara then Kerrigan.
Alright. Yeah, Kerrigan was a B candidate. So who's top of B?
Swann.
Swann? How about Vorazun? Time stop's really good. And just you can run a probe in during time stop and just sneak crystals out.
Not if they have spells.
Oh, that's right. They do still use spells during time stop. That's true. Oh well, at least you can have the Shadow Guard back during time stop. But who's second in B?
I would not put Vorazun there. I think it's Abathur.
Abathur?
Yeah.
Okay.
Abathur has a slow start as well.
Okay.
Thanks.
Who's next?
Vorazun, Artanis.
More confident with Artanis than Vorazun.
You say
Yeah, that's
Artanis
okay,
before Vorazun. Okay, that's fine.
Artanis before Vorazun,
I mean,
yeah.
these are like the
Okay.
bottom 4, bottom 5 commanders. So, who's
Yeah.
top of
Script
C?
barrel right now.
Who's top of C?
I I
Alarak?
think Han and Horner, because they
Airstrikes?
don't necessarily have to engage directly. They're all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, Alarak has to engage every single time. That's pretty fair, and that really makes me feel a lot better about how I did during our run. Oh my goodness, was that awful? Okay. One last question: do we promote Raynor to C, or does he stay in D?
No, I think he's worse
You think he's worse? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
than those two.
That is about it. So guys, watch C2's channel. I will link it down below. I'll see you guys next time.